Welcome to Elaine Clark VO Real Talking Tips, where it's all about communication. I'm the author of There's Money Where Your Mouth Is, a complete insider's guide to earning income and building a career in voiceovers, and voiceovers for podcasting, how to develop a career and make a profit. I'm also the creator of 2 Elaine Clark apps, Activate Your Voice, 5-minute exercises to strengthen your speaking voice, and Adding Melody to Your Voice, speech improvement instruction and workout. This first series of micro-learning lessons is 52 weeks, so subscribe and tune in each week to Real Talking Tips for a new communication lesson. Episode 42, The Power of Persuasion. Ethos. Real Talking Tips 42 begins a new 4-part series on the power of persuasion. There are 3 primary modes of persuasion: ethos, logos, and pathos. These 3 elements of persuasion are powerful rhetorical components and the foundation of writing and speaking. Rhetoric, while sometimes used negatively or dismissively when referring to someone with opposing views, is essential to effective and inspiring communication. If this sounds Greek to you, that's because the philosopher and playwright Aristotle was Greek. Back in the day, and I mean way back, Aristotle came up with the concept of using rhetoric to defend his personal observations of Aristophanes and Plato, and his perceptions of their injustices and distorted truths. He went on to state that if truth and justice are defeated, the blame falls on the speaker. Wow, that's a lot of personal responsibility. Before we move on to the next section, I leave you with 2 Aristotle quotes. Knowing yourself is the beginning of all wisdom. And we are what we repeatedly do. Excellence, then, is not an act, but a habit. The power of persuasion. Establishing ethos. Ethos establishes the speaker's tone, style, status, and ethical standards. A speaker's ethos should project credibility and believability. Language and speech academics divide ethos into 2 components. The first is extrinsic. That's the speaker's background, experience, expertise, education, and overall character. The second is intrinsic. That's how the message is spoken and written. Referring back to our old pal Aristotle, he characterized ethos in 3 types. His exact words for these types are, well, Greek to me. The 3 ethos values simply mean that the speaker's projected character should be good and virtuous, intelligent, experienced, and wise, and show goodwill, trust, and credibility. Only then can the audience be persuaded by the speaker. Ethos is our history. It reflects how we were raised, educational background, what we studied, places we visited, experiences we had along the way, family life, friends, cultural influences, job experience, and years in business. All that life experience is foundational to our ethical behavior. Now, here's the rub. We're often asked to read someone else's words or talk about an issue or business we haven't personally experienced. The default for most speakers is to strip away their ethos and not share their personal knowledge and experience. The result is a loss of trust, credibility, and personal opinion. The speaker retreats into a safe, neutral zone and sounds detached, untruthful, and lacks the believable status and authority that ethos provides. I'm often called the reprogrammer by many of the business execs, podcasters, and voice actors that I coach. One of the first things I'm attuned to when I listen to them speak is their ownership or lack of ethos. Everyone has ethos. Everyone has personal history. It's the individual speaker's job to connect with that personal history and share it with the audience. It's the very essence of why people want to listen to them. Let's begin this awareness or reprogramming process by digging into our personal ethos and using it to connect with our audience. Channel your ethos. Speak with authority and credibility. Where does the ethos go? When you chat with friends and family, it's there. When you talk to coworkers and people you share common interests with, it's there. In groups, the status of each speaker is shared as people take turns adding their thoughts and opinions. Instinctively, you have beliefs that, while not always agreed on by others, are supported by and based on your personal history, geographic location, and life experiences. It's the speaker's job to support the personal why belief in their statements, regardless if it's their own message or someone else's words they're required to deliver. This is what I think. If you grew up with a strong ethical framework, saying someone else's words feels wrong. The frontal lobe and cerebral cortex kick in, and the speaker's response choice is one of four: fight, flight, freeze, or do. When the do is required of the speaker, that speaker has to reprogram their brain to allow that to happen. A new habit and spontaneous response needs to replace the need to push back and sound neutral with trust and belief from an authoritative status level. So here's your assignment. Next time you read a script, teach a class, make a presentation, record a podcast, deliver the news, or talk to your children, don't think about the individual words. Connect with the overall message. If the story is about hope, connect with that story of hope in your own personal life, as if you say the words that are required to be spoken with that feeling. If the story is about convenience, remember how you felt and benefited from that experience. These are the universal truths that we all possess. The words we say are not as important as the reason why we say them. Develop that habit. Why equals your personal history equals your ethos. Join me next time in Real Talking Tips, episode 43, as we dig into logos in this Power of Persuasion 4-part series. Thanks for joining me on the Real Talking Tips podcast. To find out more, check out my books and apps and visit my website, ElaineClarkVO.com. Let's stay in touch. Become part of the Real Talking Tips community. Hit the subscribe button and use #RealTalkingTips, #ElaineClarkVO. You can also follow me on Twitter @ElaineClarkVO, Instagram ElaineClark.VO, and Facebook Elaine Clark Apps and Books. And don't forget to practice. It's all about communication. Go ahead, click the subscribe button.